Oh yeah. Well, you clicked on the video, so you know why we're here. Let's just get right into it. This actually showed up yesterday. There we go, Nikon Z8. All the nice little info on the side. So let's just get right to it. This is also my first unboxing video ever, so don't judge me. Don't really know what I'm doing. So right on top here, as you can see, got the standard little extra cardboard layer. We got the user manual. We have user manual in Spanish, I believe. I do not know Spanish. I know a little bit, poquito. All right, serial number, which is on the camera, but I always like to keep that, as well as, what is this? Get special access to your introductory video, getting the most out of your Z8. Huh, interesting. Get your personal code, US residents only. And then on the back, it says EEUU. So I'll have to look into this. I actually don't know exactly what that is, but that's interesting. Probably don't need it, but it'd be nice if this is your first type of camera like this. So let's see, what do we got inside? We'll go not interesting to interesting. So it comes with a USB-C to USB-A. I think that's the 3.0 or whatever, because it's got the little blue tab on it, which is pretty standard now. We have the battery, which is interesting. We'll actually talk about that in a second. And oh, these are the little, we can take these out. So you might not be familiar with this kind of thing. It comes with the Z9, but this essentially will go onto the ports of the camera. And I honestly don't know exactly what they're there for. I think it's more just like cable management and stuff, but I like it because like if this is like where the HDMI port goes in, it just gives it a little bit of, you know, extra kind of rigidity there. So if you were to bump the cord, it's not just pulling directly on the port. I think that's why they make it, but I don't know. But either way, those can be handy if you're kind of just locked off on a tripod. But anyways, charger, which again might be the exact same as the old Z6, Z7 charger. So yeah, we'll look at that as well. And that's why I mentioned the battery. Let's see. Oh, your good old Nikon strap. So that's exciting. I am a Peak Design guy, so I use all those Peak Design strap accessories. Okay, so this is just the top of the charger. Goes in like that, and then there's a little switch. Oh, that's nice and stiff. And that allows you to keep it up like that, I guess, for packing a little bit easier, you know, whatever you might want to use that for. All right, is that it? Oh, that's all it came with. No, I'm just kidding. And then we got the nice camera itself, just to make sure. Yeah, nothing else in there. So the box is empty, as you can see. I'll show that camera. All right, cool. Boom. And now, what we've been waiting for. Should be interesting. There. You right here. Woohoo! And there it is. Nice and pretty. Yeah, I'll show that camera. Woo! All right. So, immediate, yep. Doesn't have the dial on top that the Z9 has. Ports are a little bit different. Looks like, let's see. Yep, still has a full HDMI port, which is really nice. And then you have your mic and your headphone jack right there. The same kind of weather sealing that you get on the Z9. And then you have two USB-C ports. Yep. And then one shows the data symbol with the little lines and all that stuff, if that makes sense. And then one says PD for power delivery, because you can use this camera and charge it simultaneously, just like the Z9. And then on the back, we'll just show that right there. Yep, still got the film on there, the protective film. Pretty much identical to the Z9 minus, you know, what you would normally get on the integrated grip with the extra little buttons and stuff down there. And then on the front, you just get these 2 function buttons instead of an extra third one, right? Because on the Z9, you get that extra one that you can hit with your forefinger if you switch to the vertical mode. Yeah, but same eyepiece, same, you know, digital readout on top. Some people don't care for that. I do like it. Yeah, looks pretty similar. Still has the same switch with the back illumination, so it'll light up all the buttons on the back, which is pretty nice. Joystick is the same. Display button, that, yeah, pretty much identical. Now, obviously, one major difference. So on the card slot, there is no little button thing that you have to push to open it. On the Z9, there's an extra little lever you have to pull down. This, you just push, boom, pops open like before. And there you have it. So yep, CF Express Type B or even XQD, I believe. Yeah, they should all work, but it says CF Express on there, so. And then SD. So one thing I do want to know is, I'm assuming that you cannot shoot the 8K in RAW, the 8K60 in RAW to the SD card. So I'll have to look into the limitations of the recording on the SD card. But yeah, and probably the biggest thing that people will be happy about, because it is pretty annoying that they did it, but the play button, if you see that, is still at the bottom there, just like on the Z9, how it should be, because having to reach up with your left hand to hit it up above the screen is pretty obnoxious. But yeah, cool. And then the same kind of fun flip out screen type situation that the Z9 has. So this allows you to look at it straight down, both in a horizontal and vertical route, right? So that's pretty sweet. I actually really like that. The flip out screen that Canon does, I actually don't know why that's not standard, because it is pretty nice. It allows you to protect the screen when you're not using it. And if you do want to record yourself like I'm doing right now, my Z6 has the Ninja, and I'm kind of using that as a, you know, selfie, right? Being able to see myself. But on my Z9, I trust it, but I can't actually see all that kind of stuff. So yeah, oh, that's cool. It has that same little button down there. So yeah, pretty interesting, I guess. Oh, real quick, we'll just go ahead and set that there. Keep it in camera. Set that right there. Okay, so let's see here. Here is my old Z6 in my right hand here. So this one is the Z6 charger, and this is the new one. And yep, they are both the MH25 Alpha, right? So I'll try to show that right there. Yep, so yeah, so they're actually identical. So that's nice. And if you have a whole bunch of, oh, it says it on the front too. So, but if you have a whole bunch of like the old Z6 or Z7 batteries, or maybe even going back to the DSLR cameras, I didn't use those, so I don't know. But now you have 2 chargers. So what's nice is now, if you have a whole bunch of these batteries, I guess, you know, if you have 2 chargers now, I don't know. That's pretty nice. But did want to look at this too. So this is the new Z8 battery. And this is pretty interesting. They are actually like identical in size and everything, but the Z8 battery is black, and that's actually kind of nice. So you can just look at them quickly and know which one's which. Not that it's a huge deal, but then this one is gray, the old Z6 one. And so the difference is that the old one, they're both the ENEL15 batteries, but the old one is the Bravo B, and the new one is Charlie C. Let's see, they're both 7 volts. The font is a little bit different, whatever, that's not important. Yeah, okay, so the new one is 2,280 milliamp hours, or however you say that. And the old one is 1900 milliamp hours. And the new one is 16 watt WH. I don't know what that means, I'm assuming watts. The old one's 14. So doesn't really matter, those are all just kind of numbers, but the fact that these are interchangeable, but the new one's just bigger as far as power goes, right? It can just deliver power for longer, or more power, I'm assuming. So let's go ahead and plug this guy in, just for the sake of, so the same battery port down here, and we'll just stick it in like that, close it. Got that weather sealing around the battery port. Can that be seen? Maybe, I don't know. Yep. Anyways, so yeah, now I'll turn it on. Boom. Oh, well, it's on red. So I don't know if you can see that, but the battery is definitely not gonna last very long. But anyways, yeah, it looks like everything's pretty much the same. The menu is basically the same as the Z9, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, definitely will have to go through all this, and oh, and it just closed on me. So definitely will have to charge the battery, and that's okay. But another nice thing is because Nikon went to the fully electronic shutter and all that good stuff, you still get the sensor shield, which is not down right now. So I'll go ahead and put that back on. But basically the shield will come down that protects your sensor whenever you're changing lenses, like out and about and everything. So that's pretty sweet that they allow that, or that they kept that feature as well. And it's definitely a lot lighter than the Z9, which, to just jump into kind of my thoughts and impressions and sort of why we got this camera. But my wife and I do this full time. We do real estate and weddings and other different stuff. And a big reason that we got the Z9 was because we wanted to be able to film everything in 4K, whether it was real-time stuff in 24 or 30 frames per second, all the way up to the 60 or 100 or 120 frames per second that it offers, along with the ProRes and all that stuff. But anyways, yeah, we got this because it has the same exact video specs. My suspicion is because the sensor's the same and all that stuff, that even though they're technically different cameras, it'll be way easier to match these clips in post than the Z6 and the Z9. That is a pretty dramatic difference when it comes to the amount of contrast and saturation that the LUTs do to those clips and stuff. But anyways, so it'll be really nice to have two cameras that can do the same thing. But also for my wife, her hands are not as big as mine. So the Z9 is definitely a little bit more cumbersome for her to use. So this will be a nice, just definitely larger than Z6. Still feels, you can see my full hand, my pinky's pretty much on there. It doesn't feel like it's really slipping off. So definitely feels really good in the hands. But yeah, that was the main reason that we got this, was so that our clips could stay the same, that we can shoot the same. It has the same record limit and all that kind of stuff. And I just briefly kind of also want to touch on why I think this is actually a good idea. It's no secret that Nikon has had a lot of haters and a lot of people have not been impressed with Nikon over this kind of past few years. The Z6 and Z7 came out in the end of 2018, I believe. You can check that, but I believe it was in the fall of 2018, and a lot of people were happy with them, but it was not garnishing any attention from the professionals, and obviously the autofocus was not stellar. And I think ultimately Nikon knew they had to make a powerhouse camera that was gonna really bring them up to speed with all the other companies, and that was the Z9, especially considering all the firmware updates that they've continued to give out for free. I mean, the camera is absolutely unstoppable, which is how they marketed it for a little while there. But I think that they realized that people loved it, and they took all the things that people loved about it, pretty much everything, like down to the sensor and the frames per second shooting and the video specs, and they put it into a body and then said, how can we reduce the price as much as possible to help as many people be able to transition over to this system, right? So I think that essentially they made this, they stripped away the things that they could to make it cheaper, and then drop the price by 1,500 bucks. And I think that a few reasons, obviously the price will help get people into it. I think the smaller form factor intimidates people less. People feel a little bit more like this feels kind of like what they've been using and whatnot. And if it is, the Z9 is big. And so I think that the smaller form factor, and I honestly also think that the fact that it has an SD card slot is also helpful, because the CF Express cards can get really expensive and not everybody needs that capability. So I think the fact that you can buy this camera, get into all those specs, again, I don't know exactly what's going to be limited when you're just using an SD card. I can make a video about that specifically. But having that option, I think, will be a selling point. And I think what Nikon's going to do now is start looking ahead at the Z9 Mark II, or whatever they're going to call it, and who knows what crazy features they're going to put in there. But anyways, so really excited to have this, excited to start using it. I'm probably going to use it as my daily camera for right now, because I've used the Z9 pretty exclusively over the past year, almost a year and a half. So I'm very curious to see how this feels in comparison, to see if it feels like it's being held back. And I'll probably go ahead and use both an SD card and CF Express card. I got a few laying around to kind of just compare if I notice any differences, or kind of, you know, if it tells me there's any limitations and stuff like that, because I will be curious about that. Anyways, thank you for watching, rambling on a little too long here. If there's anything specific about this camera that you'd like to know, or any tests or comparisons and stuff, feel free to ask in the comments or let me know, and I'll try to make a video about it. We stay pretty busy, which is why it's hard for me to make YouTube videos, but I do want to make it more. We moved into a new office, which is where I'm at right now, and that's pretty exciting and everything. So it is a goal of mine to make more content about this stuff and to be a voice in the Nikon space. So if this is the first video that you're seeing of mine, feel free to subscribe, and I'll try to be more present and help out with these kind of questions and stuff, and also give more advice on, you know, how we do things as a business and sort of our goals and what we've learned and stuff like that. So I want this channel to be more than just talking about cameras. You know, I kind of want it to be elevated. Anyways, I'll leave it with that. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next one, see ya.